Hello and good evening, everybody. It is my most sincere pleasure to be logging in from about half a mile away from Peloton Cafe this evening. I'll be joining you very, very shortly to celebrate the launch of the Dovetail collection. But before I come over, I wanted to take some time to introduce you all to the folks behind the work at Appleton Research Ranch, and to Sarah Swallow, who is doing some incredible work over at the ranch to bring recreation into the space and get us thinking a lot more about how adventurers can intersect with conservation efforts and how our travel can really support conservation and that mindfulness. I'm seeing a text coming in from Jason. I'm hoping that my audio is all clear. Jason, if you could text me and let me know, that would be awesome. And I'm gonna just gonna take a sec to get that confirmation. All right, cool. So I got a thumbs up from Jason over text. That's great. So every year, Swift Industries, we pour our hearts into a creative endeavor for the holidays. It's usually a limited edition, small batch collection that unites our love of art and product and the hands-on ethos of kind of the maker ecosystem that we're from, where we were born. And this year we bring to you the Dovetail collection. And for those of you who are privy to our entire product line, you know that we've got a thing for birds. We've got a variety of our bags. We've got the peregrine and the kestrel and the ardea, and we are just totally enamored with birding and just the beautiful themes. So this year we approached Wyatt Hersey, an artist in California, to help us bring together a collection that featured the birds that we've named our product after. We've also gotten to partner with Knox Provisions to bring some co-branded binos into the mix, and Mordecai Book Building did letterpress field books for this project. And I hope that you all really enjoy the entire collection there. Without further ado, I'm going to introduce our guests. First, I want to tell you all a little bit about Swift. You're in the room and you're celebrating, and so I can hope that you already know a little bit about our company. But what's important to me that you all know is that Swift is an independent, women-owned outdoor company here in Seattle. We've been making bicycle bags since 2008, started in my basement with Jason with a sewing machine and a roll of fabric. And it's really because of you that our company is where it is today. So thank you for that. To the untrained eye, we make just bicycle bags. But for all of you who know us really well, you actually know that what we do at Swift is create tools that we hope will inspire adventures. And what we really hope is that folks will probe self-discovery, support and learn about local cultures, and protect the environment by way of their adventures by bicycle. That's really what we show up to do every single day. So it is not too far off that we have partnered with Sarah Swallow and Christina Francois, because I think that in that we are very, very aligned. I'm about to introduce our guests and bring them in. Please note that we're having some internet challenges. And so while some of the visuals might get a little choppy at times, our audio hopefully is really good. And Jason, if you can just keep texting me and letting us know if we need to take a moment to rebuffer. All right. So we're going to bring our guests in. Welcome, Sarah Swallow.
Hi, everybody.
And welcome, Christina. If I could take a second to introduce both of you, that would be wonderful. And I'm hoping too that the screen is set such that as soon as I stop gabbing, our two guests get to take the limelight. So Sarah Swallow is a professional adventure cyclist and community organizer. She's the founder and promoter of Ruta del Jefe, the founder and developer of the Sky Islands Odyssey Route projects, and co-founder of the Radical Adventure Riders. The Radical Adventure Riders is the grassroots organization that initiated the cycling industry pledge. Our icon is kind of in the corner of the window. And Swift is proud to be a second-year signer to the CIP. And if you know any bike shops, any other businesses in our bicycling and adjacent industries, please encourage folks to sign on as well. She is an ambassador for Specialized Bicycles, Rafa, Ride with GPS, and Ombres. I hope I said that correctly. Fueled by her bicycle adventures around the world, Sarah is passionate about sharing the powerful role traveling by bicycle can play to understand a place, tell a story, build community, and transform our awareness and ourselves. Welcome, Sarah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Our other guest this evening is Christina Francois. Christina is the director of the Appleton Dovetail Research Ranch in Elgin, Arizona, and an entomologist with a MS in ecology from California State University, Fullerton, and a PhD in entomology and insect science from the University of Arizona. Since Christina became the director in 2017, she has opened the Appleton Dovetail Research Ranch for the first time in its 50-year history to permitted recreation access. This transformational move has unlocked a beautiful relationship for bicycles and conservation in one of the most beautiful places in the world, which I can attest to since I've had the amazing pleasure of being a guest in that space. So thank you both so much for being here this evening. I want to go ahead and turn it over to you. Christina, will you start us off by telling us about the ranch and the work that you all do?
Sure. Thank you for having me. We are so excited to even be thought of, let alone included in such amazing projects like this. So thank you so much. The Research Ranch is an 8,000-acre sanctuary that has land that's owned by the National Audubon Society, a nonprofit, also the Nature Conservancy, but then also public lands like the Bureau of Land Management and the U.S. Forest Service. So we kind of have this collective of land ownerships, and all of these agencies come together with this conservation and research mission that the Appletons really kind of spearheaded about 50 years ago. And now the ranch is a beautiful grassland. And the big picture is we're a part of some amazing biodiversity and connectivity throughout the Sky Island region in the southeast states and northern Mexico area. And well, I guess Southeast Arizona, but Southwest states. And on the ranch specifically, we maintain grassland habitat for birds and for all taxa that might be utilizing them. We work really, really hard to conserve native species, whether they're native reintroduced frog species, or whether they are native grass species that we are trying to maintain pristine grassland. So those are some of the real quick things that we do, but mostly we really work to move research in this beautiful area, and we take that information and we share it.
Your audio, Martina.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that, Christina. I'm so curious how it is, Sarah, that you came to the ranch for the first time.
Yeah, I was actually developing the Sky Islands Odyssey routes back in 2017, the winter of 2017, 2018. And I had actually just completed most of the route, except for this like 10-mile section through Elgin, which on a map looked wonderful. But when I got there, I came up to a locked fence. And so when that happened, I was like, oh no, bummer. Like this is like, looks like a really beautiful place. And it's just a bummer that there's, you know, a locked fence, but there was a sign on the fence that had a phone number on it. And so I had a little bit of cell service. And so I called the number. Christina answered the phone and then drove up to the gate. And we just started talking. I just told her what I was doing, and she just told me that she had just taken over at the research ranch as the director. And I was in that moment, and you know, kept that conversation going for a good year, I would say, on like how this was going to work. You know, how would the ranch open up like the first time to, you know, recreationalists and, you know, in a responsible way. And yeah, so I think it was fully open to for permits for bike packers in the fall of 2018. And since then, Christina's been an essential collaborator in Ruta del Jefe and just like building the Sky Islands route and just, you know, giving bike packers a really incredible special experience and luxury camping experience at the research ranch. So it's been pretty fun.
Awesome. Christina, I would love to hear a little bit about like what debates you had within the AWRR community internally, just as conservationists, as landholders, about the pros and cons of bringing recreation into that space.
Yeah, I appreciate that question because that was really big, especially since, I mean, literally when I met Sarah up at that gate, I was so new that I didn't even know how to unlock that gate. So it was something that was kind of daring, like before I'd really even gotten to know the ranch. So I was really apprehensive and really thought about it full spectrum. And the number one thing is that the Appletons, you know, really don't want the ranch open for public access. And that's why we keep it permitted. So it's not like other Audubon facilities where the trails are just open all the time. And that is to maintain the integrity of the landscape, but also the research that is conducted here. We have research sites all over our 8,000 acres. So there was that, and we kind of figured that out by making sure we had really great communication with all of our guests, which we do, and that is through our permit process. And then we also had other challenges, like, well, what about things like litter, or what about, you know, people just driving off the road and making, you know, a ruckus in the grassland sort of thing. But we have not had any of those issues. It's been completely the opposite. And at the time, you know, like I said, I was a little bit apprehensive. This wasn't something that we'd been doing before. We'd never had recreational guests. In fact, even if you were a researcher doing research in the area, you weren't really working on Appleton. So it was quite a forward move, but it also made complete sense. All of my friends in grad school, while working on my biology degrees, my postdoc friends, everybody does outdoor recreation like this, whether it's camping or mountain biking or whatever it is. So it was kind of like, well, yeah, like all of my friends would do that. Why wouldn't I engage with that? And that is exactly what we've seen. Whether people are educators or in science or in conservation at all, it doesn't matter. Everyone is so excited to learn more. And that has been something that we have really, really enjoyed doing. And, you know, while we've kind of been getting this together and like watching the mission come together, it is so clear that it fits so well in our outreach mission that it is just absolutely a perfect fit for us.
That's awesome. I'm curious, in your wildest dreams, what would you like to take, what would you like the adventurers who come through the space as visitors to take and like bring forward for the ranch, or yeah, take away from the ranch in the best sense of that statement?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like maybe my dreams aren't wild enough, but right now I feel like if people are just visiting the ranch and feel compelled to conserve anywhere, I will have felt like we won something. And that's part of, you know, kind of my conservation philosophy is you can't, you know, save what you don't love and you can't love what you don't know. So please come and know something. And even if it isn't, you know, you ultimately end up donating to the ranch or come back to the ranch or whatever it is, if you never set foot on a grassland ever again, if you have that spirit with you when you leave here, then we've definitely accomplished something somewhere. And then there's all sorts of other things like, you know, appreciating the biodiversity of the Sky Island region and appreciating the grasslands that aren't necessarily in the Midwest prairie. You know, I mean, nobody really knows about short staff grassland. So really appreciating that, but then also appreciating our public lands because we have partners and various land ownerships. I think it's an amazing opportunity for people to understand that this is their land. This is their land to come and enjoy. And there are many other interests in that land. And we need all the help that we can get in making sure that it stays pristine and available for recreation and habitat for us and for all. So we have a couple of different layers of achievement, but if you just leave and are excited, just pumped about anything, just pumped about a view, about a bug, I'll take it.
That's awesome. Tell me a little bit about the Sky Islands for the folks at Peloton Cafe this evening who have never been to Southern Arizona and in that area. Can you describe a little bit what makes those ecosystems so unique?
Yeah, I'm totally. I'm not even from this area, and the Sky Islands are just amazing, and they literally rival the rainforest for biodiversity. I think in just the Chiricahuas, we have over 500 species of bees. And 300 species of ants and just incredible diversity. And that is because we have this throughout New Mexico and Arizona and northern Mexico, we have this chain of mountains, about 60 different mountain ranges that are kind of connecting the tropics, the subtropics to the temperate. And it kind of creates this hopscotch for a lot of different plant and animal species. And so we have this incredible diversity throughout that latitude. But then also within each of those mountain ranges, as you know, we have an incredible range of elevation. So then we have like this 3D dimension where every one of those communities kind of has this endemicity and really, really special dynamic happening. And it ends up having this area in the world that happens to have a really high concentration of really unique and special and localized plants and animals. And it is, people come from, I mean, I'm particularly an entomologist, and people come from all over the world to see some of our bugs. Or, you know, people come, I think of all of the birds that have been cited in North America, there's like 500 species, 250 of them have been seen on the ranch, sort of thing. And it's just this amazing funnel for so many different animals, whether it's the jaguar or, you know, a little jewel beetle.
Sarah, you've been doing a lot of route making in that area. What has drawn you to Southern Arizona?
Yeah, well, for the very reason Christina just outlined, that biodiversity, you know, as someone who has traveled around the world, like, I can get bored pretty easily. So like having that like constant change of scenery and like stimulation that the Sky Islands offers, like almost around every corner, makes it one of my favorite places to ride a bike. It also just happens to have like an incredible varied dirt road network. So it's great for gravel riding and adventure riding. And and there's just a lot of cool conservation areas in the Sky Islands as well, and that you can ride your bike through. So it's a really incredible place to ride a bike, learn about the biodiversity there, and all the other borderland issues. And it's the desert, and it's a great place to go in the wintertime, you know, for all of us escaping the snow and the rain and the cold. But it is still really cold there in the wintertime.
I remember the nights being so cold, even in early March. So
yeah, they can get down to, you know, 20, 14 degrees, you know, at night. So pretty common.
Will you walk us through a little bit of the Sky Islands route for folks who are interested in exploring and doing that ride? What take us through the route a little bit?
Yeah, so what I did with the Sky Islands Odyssey routes was to create essentially 3 routes in one, so that you can kind of do one at a time, or, you know, you could do, there's an east loop, a west loop, and a full loop. So you can just bite off chunks a little bit at a time, or you can go out and do the whole thing. But essentially the routes all are start in Patagonia, Arizona, which is about 45 minutes from the ranch, and an hour and 10 minutes from Tucson or so. But the East Loop primarily circumnavigates the Santa Rita Mountains. So from where you start in Patagonia, you ride through the San Rafael Valley, which is also a protected grassland, and you ride towards the ranch. So you arrive at the research ranch on the first day typically, and you have kind of, there's just like luxury camping at the research ranch, because you get to camp in a Firewise like grass zone, with access to a adobe casita with a kitchen and a full bathroom and shower, and it's just a nice little protection for the wind if it's really windy, or if it's really cold. It's just a nice place for people to hang out, and there's just incredible views, 360 degrees. And so from the research ranch, the East Loop goes into the Las Ciénegas Conservation Area, which is another grassland area, formerly a cattle ranch that was, I guess it was donated to the BLM. And so the BLM manages that area, and then you kind of go go all the way around the Santa Rita. So there's a nice, and as you cross Box Canyon Pass, which is kind of the northernmost pass of the route, you kind of change. It's a dramatic eco zone change where you're dropping into like a low desert environment. So this whole time you've been pretty high up in the grasslands, in the forest, and then you drop down into the desert and get to ride through there. So it's, a lot of that.
That was one of my favorite sections. That section is on Ruta, is that right?
Yes, it is. Yeah, for the 135 milers.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I was just whooping with joy going down that area. It's just so beautiful.
Yeah.
When you are designing a route, what is your process? What are you keeping in mind? What are you looking for? How do you go about the process of building adventure routes?
Yeah, so like I said, for me, I get bored easily. So like, I don't like a lot of the same things. So I switch things up. You might be on a really smooth gravel, section for 30 miles, but after that, you might be on some real by 4 Jeep road for 10 miles, like I just kind of mix it up because I think that manages the overall pace of the tour. And also like, these things are meant to challenge us. I don't like total sufferfest, and, it just kind of depends on what kind of headspace each person's in. It can be more of a sufferfest for some than others, but I don't like the whole on sufferfest. So I try to like give breaks and just make it something that's doable for just all skill levels, as long as you're willing to take the time to do it. So that's pretty much it. And all the resources, I think what's really important too is that the reason why I've invested so much in so much time in the Sky Islands Odyssey routes is because that place has a really important spell. And so I've just focused a lot of my energy in just helping spread awareness about that, because I don't think that we should just be dropping in, to places and, and having maximum enjoyment and just taking. I think there should be an element of, we get to travel here, we should be giving back, or just taking the responsibility to educate ourselves about these places. So.
Yeah, what are some of the compelling layers that you've become more and more aware of in that area?
Yeah. So as I was like considering writing up the Sky Islands Odyssey routes, I was like, oh my God, this is like the most spectacular route ever, and then I started reading about it and I was like, oh, this is actually, there's some ugly truths about this place. And so, one is, there is, bit of mining in the area. There's also a proposed copper mine that is right north of the Sky Islands route. So that would have a huge impact on the water and the recreation, the light and the night skies, and habitat for a lot of animals. There's also a humanitarian crisis happening on the border, as most of us know by now. But in this part of Arizona, it's a very remote part, and through the U.S.'s Border Patrol, mission is to prevention through deterrence, which pushes migrants into more remote zones, pushes them out of more developed cities to cross the border, if they are going to cross the border, into really remote zones where they're more likely to either get lost or get caught or even die in the desert. So there's a lot of migrants dying in the desert, and a lot of the areas that Sky Islands route travels through. I've encountered migrants multiple times on my route on riding the Sky Islands, routes, and so it's a really prevalent thing, and it really starts hitting home when you start encountering these folks when you're on a bike ride. So I think that alone kind of makes you invested in like, what can we be doing better? And so that would be a big thing. And just I learned so much from my time at the research ranch in terms of like how important semi-arid grasslands play in the biodiversity of this place, and yeah, all sorts of really interesting stuff, and the history, the history of the land as well.
Yeah, I had the amazing opportunity to ride Ruta. Oh my gosh, in 2020, is that what?
Yeah, the most epic year that hopefully there will ever be.
We'll see.
We'll see.
And Sarah, I loved that the evening before the race, we all got together as a riding community and got to meet some of the community leaders and spokespeople in the area for some of the causes and issues that you just touched on. What inspired you? It just felt so uniquely different than any other kind of preface to a race that I had ever experienced. Why are you choosing this way to build these routes and bring these individuals into before a race?
Well, yeah. So the idea with Ruta del Jefe is that I can get 100 people in a room all together to learn about a place from the people who are actually doing the work. And it's just really powerful to listen to these talks. And so the next day when you go out for that bike ride, you have a whole new awareness and appreciation and understanding for that place, and it's kind of a whole different experience in that regard. And yeah, I think that having that be right before the ride kind of makes a big difference. So that's kind of the idea of it, and just to be able to be in community with people who we're all learning. We're all learning how we can be better advocates for this place.
Yeah, it's really magical.
Yeah.
What is next, Sarah and Christina, for your relationship, your working partnership, and the next steps that the adventure community should be aware of?
Well, I guess I could start, Christina. You can add whatever. We got lots of ideas.
Cool.
And, but we what Christina says is that living and working on the research ranch is kind of like being on island time. It's a really remote place, so things move slowly there. And but I think a lot of things have been moving pretty quick over the last few years. So I'm really proud of what we've been able to get done. But I'll be heading down there actually in the next week and a half or so, and I'll be living there again this winter, and just helping the ranch with whatever they need help with in terms of building their bicycle outreach program. So last year I was kind of helping write some copy for signs. I made like a little recreation brochure and a recreation map. I think that a big thing that we're going to try to do is just to like, yeah, people are coming to the ranch now. People know about the ranch, but like, how can we get them from like just that casita spot, that camping spot, to venture more onto the ranch, because the ranch is 8,000 acres and usually people only see about 4 or 5, 6 miles of it. So how do we get them to venture into some of these cool habitats and these habitat restoration areas, and how do we tell those stories, and yeah, just encourage them to become more invested with it. What would you say, Christina?
Exactly that. I think we were, at least I was, from a management perspective, so apprehensive about what this would look like. And now that I know it fits our mission so well, we have been working on things like interpretive trail signs and brochures and maps and, information that we can really kind of put forward. And whether it's, digitally, I mean, because there's not even that much information on our website about it, really. So to really kind of make it a bigger part of the ranch, I think is definitely our next part. And Sarah has done so much work for that. We have so much information that is just on the cusp of really kind of being available. And then aside from being available about like the actual area, also about the ranch and how we can see more of the ranch. And it's kind of a little bit of a, pick your own adventure sort of thing. If you want to go and see one of the wetlands on the ranch, you're more than welcome to. If you want to go and continue on the route, the East Loop, then you do you sort of thing. And I just absolutely love that. And I know Sarah has been working hard. I've been working hard for things like, getting binoculars for our packers to use while they're on site if they really want to engage in the ranch, but also things like having a small fleet of bikes on the ranch for our researchers who live here during the summer. And so if they want to engage in the, in the recreation aspect, really kind of make it a part of the ranch and not just on the ranch.
Well, I cannot wait to keep exploring. I think that I'm not unique in that my time on the ranch, I got to spend kind of like off and on 3 weeks of February of right before the shutdown out at the ranch, between a ride that I do with a bunch of friends every year, and then the gravel camp, the WTF gravel camp, and then Ruta. And there's no denying that the ranch and the areas around the ranch have just inspired me so much. And I want to keep finding ways to come back and invest. And I'm 100% certain that folks who come and visit will have really, really similar relationships to that space. It is so beautiful. There's something very powerful about it. My experience is riding, especially during WTF gravel camp, in such an empowering space, and then also being acutely aware of kind of the Border Patrol blimps on the horizon, and understanding the dynamic in one space, in one complex, beautiful open space. I just thought it was really provocative and got me thinking about a lot of the dynamics that we experience in the borderlands and as travelers. So
that was such a fun time when you guys were residents. It was fantastic to have you guys here for the couple weeks around Ruta a couple years ago. But I do want to say that you guys inspire us. As an ecologist, as a scientist, it's really easy to get down, to be bummed out a little bit about, the state of things, or climate fatigue, or, all of these other things. But and honestly, the reason why I got into managing a field station is because this is like the magic. This is where, as an ecologist or learning about any kind of biology, this is where magic happens. It's not in the classroom or in the lab or anything. And it's really easy, even while out here, to kind of forget that. So to see you guys come in, whether it's a packer just coming in and refilling water, we all are in this little office all day, every day. We live on site. We don't leave. And so it's really easy to kind of lose that shiny feeling, but to watch someone else come in and learn and see some of the things that we see and see some of the really special parts of it. I mean, it just, one, it makes our job so amazing, but two, it also reminds you why you do it. So we are also inspired by you guys, and I love the takeovers. We call them takeovers when the Packers are all here for like weeks on end. It's fantastic. It's absolutely fantastic, and we also are greatly inspired. So thank you.
Yeah. Sarah just dropped out. I was about to ask a closing question for Sarah. It's like she knew, but where, Christina, should we send folks to learn more about the work that the ranch is doing, and to continue supporting and engaging with the ranch? You said that not many people know about the ranch, but here we have an amazing audience that's ready to learn more and hungry to know about what you all are doing. Where do we go?
We have a website, researchranch.org, and we have a lot of our, we have like a library on there with a lot of the research that's been conducted, publications that have been, have come from work on the ranch, and you can really kind of dive into even like taxa, what kind of plants are on the ranch, all of these other things. But again, we're also making like really comprehensive guides to these things for this community specifically. So we're really excited for when that will be finalized. In the meantime, check out our website, and always feel free to email. While I'm not the best responding to emails, Packer emails, I usually respond to right away because they're so easy, and here's our permit stuff, and that sort of thing. So
yeah,
always
great.
feel free.
Well, I would also add, if anyone's looking for a book to read about the Research Ranch, The View from Bald Hill by the Box. I don't know their first. It's like Charlie and
Jane and Carl.
Yeah, Jane and Carl. Yeah, it's a great book. It's not too like technical or anything. They're great writers, and it's a great overview of like what's special about the Research Ranch, and it's a quick read too. And Christina just got to hang out with them.
It's funny, we were just talking about this, and I was telling them how, we try to keep, copies of that book in all of the houses so people can check it out when they're here. But what was really interesting was Carl was saying someone was reviewing the book, and they said, I thought I was getting into like a conservation book, and I didn't realize that I was about to read a love story. And it really is just kind of about their time here. They were the original directors of the ranch, essentially, and they are great writers or fantastic scientists, and it really is just a really cool love story.
Yeah. Beautiful. Sarah, you dropped out like right when I was going to ask you.
Sorry.
You're good.
I'm amazed that I've made it this far, honestly.
No, it's great. I'm stoked. To wrap up the conversation, I am curious. You've got a big event coming up. Yeah. Will you tell us a little bit about Ruta, when it's coming up, how people can get plugged in, and why we should show up for it?
Yeah. Well, yeah. The quick Ruta overview, but it's a weekend of education, adventure, community, advocacy, and and it's held at the Research Ranch, and it's a weekend. Oh, am I still going here?
You're going, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so on Friday night, we host talks by the folks of Indivisible Tohono, No More Deaths, Cuencos Los Ojos. Christina will give a talk, and Arizona Trail Association, and am I forgetting? Oh, and Save the Scenic Sanaritas. So we have these talks. They last about 2 hours. They happen after a awesome dinner. We have a caterer serving us meals the whole weekend. Your meals and in the registration fee. And then on Saturday, you've got an option, 5 different options for rides to do. So I've got a 135-mile route, which follows the Sky Islands East Loop. And then I've got a 70-mile adventure ride, similar kind of terrain as the 135-miler, but a little bit more than half the distance. And then we've got a 55-mile gravel ride, which travels through the San Rafael Valley and down to the border with Mexico, and then a 28-mile ride, and then a 12K ride that happens exclusively on the research ranch. So everybody kind of takes on that challenge. In addition to all these festivities, we have live music, of course, too, which is fun. But it's the events organization. So not only do the participants are the participants required to either make a donation or crowdsource their donation through their own fundraiser. If you do not come to the event, you can still donate to our fundraising efforts. So just keep that in mind as you're watching the content stream through. Is we are trying to raise at least $30,000 to be distributed among 6 conservation, indigenous, and humanitarian aid groups.
Very cool. Awesome. Well, thank you two so much for spending the evening with us. To everybody at Peloton Cafe this evening, thank you so much for coming out for the collection launch. I'm really excited to come and have a beer with you next. And please you've got the raffle for the entire collection, binoculars, bags, dad caps, the whole 9 yards. Please dig deep and invest in a bunch of raffle tickets. We hope that we get to spoil you with the winnings, and all of the proceeds are going to be going to the research ranch. And as we launch our campaign, we're going to release our products on our website on Tuesday, and all of our purchases, or all of your purchases, will garner a 5% donation to the research ranch work. So spread the word, let other cyclists in your communities know that this is like a really amazing opportunity to invest in conservation work and awareness work, and just a place that we are all super invested in. So thank you, everybody. Thank you, Christina and Sarah. I hope I get to see you both in March, and just enjoy your evening.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I'll have a beer I'll have 3 beers, one for all of us.
For me too. Cheers.
Okay,
Cheers.
sweet. All right, good night.
Yeah, good night. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.